You're either going to have to concede and let him have his way, or you're going to have to kill him.
Ho ho ho, now that's how you end an episode. So far, many have tried and failed to separate Flint and Silver, with all of them paying the price. But now, after enduring for so long, the alliance and friendship between the pair is all about ready to come crashing down. Billy has spent the better part of a couple of seasons now trying his best to pull Silver away from Flint's influence. And it's because of that Silver chose to side with Flint over Billy, and it's why he found himself at the mercy of all those slaves last week. He was beaten, battered and bloody, but he was alive, as was the person who Silver cared about the most. Maddie did escape that burning building and was thrown into the cells with the rest of the other captives. It's her who is now the key to how the rest of the story plays out. The endgame is right around the corner as Billy went to meet Rogers in person to propose a deal and betray the rest of his brethren. I can't see him siding with Rogers for long. Maybe I just don't want to see Billy truly betray all of his fellow pirates. I think he knows that he screwed up with regards to the slave revolt, and after he discovered that Maddie was part of the captives in Nassau, it gave him a route into achieving multiple goals. The governor is still distraught about his wife's death, as he found out the even harsher reality that Eleanor was pregnant with their unborn child. That was why Eleanor acted as she did, to give them both a life together. It wasn't any kind of betrayal like he thought. It was, like Mrs. Hudson said, all out of love for him. But his actions in enlisting the Spanish fleet destroyed any prospect of that hopeful future. So maybe, now that he has nothing left, it nudged him into agreeing with Billy and using the tool at his disposal. An offer was put into place. Maddie for the cache of gems, or in Silver's mind, it was Maddie to Flint's war. You have to commend Flint though for being honest with Silver to his face. He boldly told him that trading the cash was not an option, even though only a week or so ago he was willing to do the exact same thing. Granted, the circumstances were different, but that point of view did not sit well with our pirate king. And to see Silver actually have his own backup plan in motion if the one to rescue Maddie fails will only cement the inevitable breakup we've been expecting for a long time. It was a big episode for Jack this week as he travelled north with his crew to find Eleanor's grandfather. The aim to gain the backing of one of the wealthiest families in the Americas and to finally push Rogers out of New Providence Island. His pitch initially fell flat on its face as Jack found the brains behind all of the operations wasn't Eleanor's grandfather, it was her grandmother. She sat down with Jack and Max as she was intrigued by the potential investment. And by the end of the episode we found out she did agree to aid in his cause, but Jack had to do one more thing. In order to make it all happen, he had to kill Captain Flint. We all know that Flint will stop at nothing until all of the West Indies is set ablaze, but sorry Jack, it ain't gonna happen. Try as he might, I do not think Jack will succeed in his task, and instead, after watching his final scene with Anne, I'm convinced now that Jack will not survive the final stretch. It felt like he was saying his final goodbyes to her as she exited the ship alongside Max. It was a very touching moment and a bittersweet parting between the duo who have been alongside one another's side since before anyone can remember. Hopefully I'm wrong, as Jack has grown to be one of the most likeable characters on the show, but war does take its toll. And the fact that Mrs. Hudson added that extra stipulation that Jack be handed over to the Spanish as well as the missing cash gives me that funny feeling that Jack could meet the very same end that his old friend Charles Vane did.
I do it for us. It's how it started. It's how it's going to end.
My overall verdict for this week's episode of Black Sails is an 8 out of 10. Anyone who says action in Black Sails defines the show, go and slap them in the face right now, because it is the characters which make this show one of the best that is currently out there. Not a sword was swung or even a bullet fired this week. Instead, we had some long, meaningful conversations and final agreements being put into place, all before we enter the final 3 episodes. Flint's revolution has begun, as pirates from all across the globe are ready to stand with him as they prepare for what comes next. Flint was discussing with some of the other men about attacking some coastal cities for money and plunder. While that is a good idea to expand their resources, there was just no end in sight, and that did bother some of the others. We know Flint wants to see freedom thrive in the new world, but his vision will have everyone fighting new battles far into the foreseeable future. And now that Maddie is held captive by his enemy, Silver is not willing to risk her life so that Flint can have his war. Israel Hans knows that Silver has his backup plan ready just in case Flint's happens to fail. And if it does, Silver has but one of 2 choices to make. Concede and let Flint have his way, or he will have to kill him. Now, I said a couple of weeks ago that I do not think Silver will strike a dagger through Flint's heart. Let's be honest, I think Flint's plan is going to fail, which means their conflict is right around the corner, but I do not think Silver will kill him. Again, I think he will report him as dead to the rest of the crew, and I think he will outcast him to the same destination that Thomas Hamilton very well could be in. Who knows, we'll have to wait and see, but the episode's ending was beautifully done to leave us on the edge of our seat until next week's episode. Jack's goodbye to Anne was up there with the very best moments of the week, and his impersonation of Max was hilarious when he disagreed with her. I haven't spoken much before about Toby Schmitz, but his portrayal of Jack is executed wonderfully. Sometimes he's a bumbling idiot that doesn't know when to shut up, but eventually he will grind away at you and give you merits for you to trust in him. I recently watched an interview with Ray Stevenson and he called the writing of the show emotionally intelligent. And that phrase is exactly right. The show delivers in abundance when it comes to sword fights and spectacular battles, as the season premiere proved. But since the very first season, the show's intelligent layers and building of its characters is without a doubt its finest achievement. So what did you guys think about this week's episode, and do you think Flint's plan will fail and lead to his and Silver's inevitable collapse? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.
When you and I are of the same mind, there is nothing we have not yet been able to do.